Hi folks, let's take a moment to appreciate just how weird things have gotten. We live in a time where a jacked Austrian bodybuilder turned Hollywood icon has to remind America's elite talk show host that, shockingly, entering the country illegally is illegal. Welcome to Clown World, where feelings outrank facts and Democrats treat border enforcement like it's a hate crime instead of, law enforcement. In today's episode of Common Sense versus The View, Arnold Schwarzenegger dares to flex a little logic. And you'd think he walked in and bench pressed Whoopi Goldberg's entire worldview. The guy legally immigrated, worked his tail off, became governor, and still the left looks stunned when he says, maybe just perhaps immigrants should follow the rules and give back instead of setting downtown Los Angeles on fire. So anyway, buckle up because we're diving headfirst into the political upside down where the American dream is now offensive and accountability is a new hate speech.
But as an immigrant yourself, you are an immigrant. You're an immigrant in this country. Yeah. Did you have a visceral reaction to what they're doing, what ICE is doing when you see the videos of it?
Well, I tell you, you said that the immigrant, I'm so proud and happy that I was embraced by the American people like that. I mean, imagine I came over here with the age of 21, with absolutely nothing. And then to create a career like that. I mean, in no other country in the world could you do that. Yeah. Every single thing, if it's my bodybuilding career, if it's my acting career, becoming governor, the beautiful family that I've created, all of this is because of America.
That's true.
And so this is why I'm so happy to see firsthand that this is the greatest country in the world, and this is the land of opportunity. And I think because I'm such a proud American and a proud immigrant that came to America, I was asked to do, on July 4th, a big speech, the keynote speech at Mount Vernon, where George Washington was laid to rest, and where he lived and all that, to celebrate the 250th anniversary of America, the existence of America. And I will be doing the speech there. They asked me because I'm an immigrant, and there will be 7,000 some people there, and there will be people that will be sworn in and will become citizens that day.
That's great.
So it's really a great celebration. And this is what this is all about, is to celebrate people becoming Americans and coming to America and all that. And so I just think the world of the great kind of a history that we have with immigrants in America. But the key thing also is at the same time that we got to do things legal. That is the important thing, So you got to do things legal. And those people that are doing illegal things in America and that are foreigners, they are not smart. Because when you come to America, you're a guest and you have to behave like a guest. Like when I go to someone's house and I'm a guest, then I will do everything I can, keep things clean and to make my bed and to do everything that is the right thing to do rather than committing a crime or being abusive or something like that. So that doesn't really work in this country. So I think the important thing is when you become an immigrant to think about, okay, I go to America because I want to use America for the great opportunities that America has in education, in jobs, creating a family, all of those kind of things. Then you have to think about, okay, if I get all of those things from America, then I have to give something back. You have a responsibility as an immigrant to give back to America and to pay back to America and to go and do something for your community for no money whatsoever. Give something back to after-school programs, Special Olympics, or whatever it is. Make this country a better place.
You could literally hear the ladies from The View panic as Arnold went off the prepared script. Sonny Hostin even gave him a light tap on the arm like a gentle reminder, know your role, immigrant. But Arnold wasn't playing. For once, the guy who once barked, screw your freedom during COVID actually stood for something worth defending. And the irony is almost poetic because it took a former Hollywood action hero, an immigrant no less, to say what most so-called Democrat leaders are too afraid to say. This country has given a lot. And it's not too much to ask that people who come here show some respect in return. Now, I think it goes without saying that what Arnold said wasn't radical. It was common sense. You're a guest. Act like one. You don't break into a house and demand rights. You don't trash the place, sue the owner, and then guilt trip the neighbors for calling the cops. But that's exactly how the modern left treats America. The border is open, ICE is vilified, and criminal behavior is excused as long as it's committed to the right demographic under the right narrative. The same party that lectures us about democracy and accountability can't bring itself to say that breaking the law to enter this country should carry consequences. And let's be honest, this wasn't just about ICE. Arnold shattered an entire narrative in real time. The left has worked overtime to blur the line between legal and illegal immigration. To them, immigrant is a sacred, untouchable category, regardless of how you got here or what you do once you arrive. That's how we end up with violent felons protected by sanctuary policies, and why even talking about illegal aliens gets you branded as a bigot. It's not about helping people anymore. It's about power. It's about importing a new voter base, building a permanent underclass dependent on the state, and silencing anyone who objects by weaponizing identity politics. But the applause Arnold got, that is the key. That wasn't just approval. It was relief. Because normal people, immigrants, natives, Democrats, Republicans, know this country still matters. And we're all tired of watching it be disrespected, dismantled from within, and devalued in the name of some weird false utopia fantasy where borders are racist and law enforcement is oppression. Arnold's comments struck a nerve because they reminded everyone in this country that gratitude used to be the norm. You came to America because it was better. But now somehow Americans are the ones being told to apologize. But here's the truth. Gratitude and responsibility are patriotic. Saying you owe something to this country isn't bigotry. It's maturity. It's reality. And the fact that a man who once governed California, a state now practically allergic to objective reality, had to be the one to say it, tells you just how far the left has drifted. The American dream hasn't disappeared. It's just been rebranded, abused, and repackaged into something unrecognizable. But for one brief moment on daytime national television, Arnold brought it back into focus. And judging by the look of the ladies of The View, they didn't like what they saw. And they gave him an earful after that.
Make this country a better place.
Arnold, don't forget, there's 90% of the people who come here are trying to do the right thing.
They're less likely to commit crimes.
And a lot of what's happening right now is people are getting snatched who shouldn't be snatched out of the country. People who have visas, people who have all those things. So we want all the right people. We don't want people who are doing bad stuff.
But they are less likely, immigrants are much less likely to commit crimes in this country than actually American-born citizens. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that Governor Newsom did not ask for the National Guard to come to, the federal government to California. There are 9,000 local law enforcement officers in California.
Newsom's a cuck.
Every president has to send them the law.
I mean, look.
And there you have it, folks. We all got to witness it in real time. The moment Arnold Schwarzenegger stopped being a guest on The View and started becoming a problem. Not for the audience, who applauded many of his words, but for the hosts, who suddenly found themselves face-to-face with a former ally refusing to play along with a script. Arnold did what almost no public figure on the left will do. He spoke with gratitude for America, clarity about immigration, and unapologetic truth about personal responsibility. And for that, he was treated like he'd broken some cardinal sacred code, because that's exactly what he did. You see, the modern left doesn't just defend illegal immigration, they depend on it. They've spent years collapsing the distinction between legal and illegal, between citizen and non-citizen, or shall I say undocumented, until the only thing that matters is emotional appeal. They say no human is illegal because facts are cruel, and victimhood is currency. But Arnold's comments expose that game. He didn't demonize immigrants. He was one. What he condemned was entitlement. The idea that you can break into a country, demand rights, and then cry oppression when someone expects you to follow the rules. He called it what it is: disrespect. And in 2025, where riots break out in the name of justice while ICE is painted as a terrorist group, even a basic call for respect sounds like a revolution for the left. That's why Sonny Hostin panicked. That's why Whoopi Goldberg jumped in with half-baked stats and an emotional sleight of hand. Because when you're pushing the idea that enforcement is cruelty, that citizenship is oppressive, and that gratitude is outdated, someone like Arnold threatens to blow the whole thing wide open. He didn't just say immigrants should obey the law. He said they should give back, volunteer, sacrifice, serve their communities without asking for applause. In other words, he promoted assimilation. And assimilation is the one word the left fears more than deportation. Why? Because assimilation is the opposite of identity politics. It says we're not tribes. It says we're a nation. It demands unity, not division. But unity doesn't serve the activist class, the academic bureaucrats, or the open border NGOs. Division does. Victimhood does. If immigrants become patriotic, responsible, self-sufficient Americans, the whole grievance economy collapses within itself. That's why facts like immigrants commit fewer crimes get weaponized out of context, as if crime stats alone determine national policy, and as if we don't have a right to expect zero crime from those we welcome into our home. And let's be clear for a second. This is not about hating immigrants. It's about loving a nation that deserves better than being used. The real crisis isn't ICE enforcement. It's the moral inversion that treats lawbreakers like victims and patriots like villains. It's why you see violent protesters torching American flags in Los Angeles while demanding citizenship. It's why Gavin Newsom, our great governor, spends more time defending criminals than protecting taxpayers. And it's why someone like Schwarzenegger, who once flirted with every Hollywood cliche, now sounds like the last adult in the room. This moment matters because it reveals a deep fracture in American discourse. The applause wasn't just for Arnold. It was for sanity, for clarity, for the idea that rights come with responsibilities and freedom is earned, not owed. The left didn't know how to respond because their narrative doesn't allow for gratitude. It only allows for grievance. Now, all that being said, let's take a moment and debunk all of the BS stats thrown at Arnold by Whoopi and Sonny Hostin. Sonny starts by claiming that illegal immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than American-born citizens, a talking point that's not only misleading but built on selective or incomplete data. While some studies suggest legal immigrants commit fewer crimes, the data on illegal immigrants is far more complex and often unreliable due to inconsistent reporting, lack of citizenship tracking and crime stats, and sanctuary city policies that obstruct federal enforcement. In fact, if we go by foundational crime alone, entering the U.S. illegally is a crime under 8 U.S. Code 1325, meaning every illegal immigrant has already broken the law by being here. Beyond that, per capita crime rates among illegal immigrants often exceed those of legal immigrants and U.S.-born citizens, especially in states like Texas, where immigration status is tracked during arrests. A 2018 DOJ report found that non-citizens made up 21% of federal convictions despite comprising less than 10% of the population. And the notion that we should tolerate any level of crime from those who aren't even supposed to be here in the first place because they are here illegally and entered here illegally is beyond absurd. Whoopi Goldberg added to the confusion by claiming people are being snatched unfairly, yet ICE overwhelmingly targets individuals with prior convictions, pending charges, or repeated immigration violations, not random law-abiding families. Sonny also downplayed Governor Newsom's coordination with federal authorities, falsely claiming he didn't request assistance when in fact Newsom did request assistance for the National Guard in the past. That was in 2024 to combat organized retail theft and violent crime in California. But that was back when Biden was president. Now that Trump is president, any crisis that exists in California, instead of requesting assistance from the federal government, Newsom allows it to get to its worst possible case and then turns around and uses that crisis to blame Trump. Now, needless to say, these comments by the ladies on The View reflect a broader trend on the left, blurring the line between legal and illegal immigration, minimizing the consequences of lawbreaking, and reframing enforcement as oppression, all while ignoring the real victims, American citizens and legal immigrants who play by the rules. Anyway, folks, this moment presents to us a fork on the road. Either we restore a culture that values honor, duty, and respect, or we keep spiraling into one that rewards lawlessness, erases borders, and punishes those who dare to love the country that gave them everything. Arnold made his choice, and judging by the audience's reaction, a lot of Americans are ready to make theirs too. So ask yourself, when did we start calling law enforcement cruelty and law-breaking compassion? When did a nation built on shared values become a hotel where no rules apply as long as the guests feel entitled enough? This isn't just about immigration. It's about the death of responsibility, the erasure of borders, both literal and moral. If gratitude now triggers panic and basic respect for the country is treated like hate speech, what does that say about the culture shaping our institutions, our media, and our kids? Who benefits from a society where truth is offensive and consequences are optional? If you're feeling that knot in your gut right now, that quiet sense that something foundational is being hollowed out, you're not alone. Maybe it's time we stop asking what America owes everyone and start asking what everyone owes America. You tell me what you think in the comments down below. Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.